Hey Gwen, have you ever just been lying on the couch, staring at the ceiling, thinking about big dreams, like building a whole empire?
OMG? Did you put a hidden camera in my house or something?
No, I'm asking because I had an afternoon exactly like that.
Oh, please, I don't stop at building an empire. In my mind, I'm also standing on a stage, winning an award, giving the most inspiring speech ever.
But in real life, we're just lying there, scrolling TikTok until our thumb gets tired, right?
True. It's like two different people fighting inside one body. One side is ambitious Gwen, who wants success so badly. The other is lazy Gwen, who just wants to sleep in.
I know a lot of you feel the same way.
Guys, if you feel discouraged because you think you're lazy, I just want to say you are not alone.
Maybe you have a lot of big questions in your head right now. Why can we imagine success in such clear detail? But we can't even do something simple like open a book. Today, we're sharing simple strategies to outsmart your brain and see results fast.
You can just listen, relax, and still change your mindset. Are you ready, Leo?
Ready, let's start this journey to rewire your brain.
First, I want to clear everyone else's name a little. Leo, do you really think we are born lazy?
I'm pretty sure we are, Gwen. Sometimes I feel like I have a lazy gene that just waits for a chance to show up.
Come on, put that negative thought away. Science shows that our brain is actually very responsible, and it's not lazy in a bad way.
Are you kidding me? It stops me from studying and tells me just go to sleep when I need to work, and you say it's responsible?
It sounds strange, but it makes sense. You have to go back to prehistoric times for a minute. The human brain was designed with one main goal: help us survive.
What does that have to do with lying on the couch and not studying English?
Well, in ancient times, food was rare and danger was everywhere. To survive, the brain always tried to save energy. It keeps energy in case you suddenly need to run away from a tiger.
Oh, so the brain sees energy as something very valuable, and it doesn't want me to waste it on things that are not urgent for survival?
Exactly. When you make a big plan, like 1,000 hours of speaking practice, your brain doesn't see career growth. It sees a huge overload and turns on the alarm. Danger, too much energy.
That explains a lot. Every time I open my study app, my eyes suddenly get sleepy, even if I just woke up.
Yes, and it pulls you back to your phone because scrolling TikTok uses much less energy.
Ah, and looking at a 1-year goal feels like standing in front of a 42-kilometer marathon. Yes, you're not scared of running.
You're scared of running 42 kilometers on the first day.
That feeling is a real mental barrier. Just thinking about it makes me want to sleep to save energy. It's a great deal for my brain, but a disaster for my dreams, right, Gwen?
Yeah, besides saving energy, there's another hidden enemy that is just as strong. It's called perfectionism.
Oh, perfectionism. I'm the king of that. I always want everything to be perfect before I start.
How does your perfectionism delay your study time?
Well, I always tell myself I'll start when I feel fully ready. Sometimes I even wait for a perfect opportunity because I'm afraid to start.
After everything is finally perfect, what do you do next?
Then I feel too tired, so I tell myself I'll do it tomorrow with better energy.
That's the trap. In reality, perfectionism is just fear of failure wearing a nice mask.
What? I thought I was just someone with high standards. How is that fear of failure?
Because you're afraid that if you start and don't do well, you'll have to admit you're not that good. Perfectionism doesn't make you better, Leo. It only makes you start later than everyone else.
Oh, Oh, so my perfectionism was actually fear of failure pretending to be high standards?
Yeah, instead of waiting to be perfect, accept mistakes as part of growth. No one is born ready to run a marathon without falling.
I get it now. So, friends, from now on, you should allow yourself to be a bad beginner as long as you start.
That's the first step to truly outsmart your brain. When we remove the pressure to be perfect, we finally have space to take action.
So, what should we do next? I'm afraid the sofa will pull me back in again.
We need action strategies. The first thing I want you to try is this: write small success stories.
That sounds kind of big and serious. Do I need to sign $1 million contract before I can call it success?
Not at all. We often misunderstand what success really means. Our mistake is that we only recognize huge goals. For example, you probably write, "I will be fluent in English in 1 year," right?
Yes. I even put it in front of my desk. I thought it would push me to try harder.
The problem is that goal is too far away and too abstract. Your brain looks at it and doesn't know where to begin.
That's true. When I look at that sentence, I feel pressure, not motivation.
So now you need to change the strategy. Instead of writing something huge, write something very simple. For example, today I said 3 sentences in English.
How can that change my life? Isn't that too small to matter?
I'm not lowering your potential. I'm helping you build a foundation. You need to understand this. The brain doesn't live on future promises.
Then what does it live on?
It responds to close evidence.
What does that mean?
It means when you finish those 3 sentences, you give your brain real proof. You show it that you actually took action.
So instead of just promising big things, I give it real results right away.
Exactly. And here's the key. Every day, write down only 2 things: 1 small action and 1 small improvement.
For example, today I opened my app and studied for 10 minutes as my small action.
Yes. And you will learn the meaning of compounding as your small improvement. When you collect enough small evidence like this, your brain starts to believe a new story.
It starts to believe that Leo is a person who takes action.
That's a great way to say it. Think of your journal like a confidence bank account. Every small action is a deposit.
Even if it's a small amount, it's real money.
Exactly. When your confidence account grows, you stop doubting yourself. So from today, don't wait until you sound like a native speaker to celebrate friends.
I'm going to write my small wins in a notebook right now.
Cool. But listen, even if you write a success journal every day, you'll quit if the work feels boring.
Wow, Gwen, that really hits me. When I first learned French, I opened my grammar book, and my face just went blank.
That's because you connect your actions with 3 toxic things: pressure, obligation, and fear. I'm sure some of you feel the same as Leo, right, friends? And you know human instinct. When something feels heavy or scary, our first reaction is to avoid it.
That's why I say I love my sofa more than my dreams, because the sofa never asks me to learn irregular verbs or remember complex structures.
But don't worry, every math problem has an answer.
So what's the answer to this one, Gwen?
We call it Gamify. Turn everything into a game.
But games need controllers, nice graphics. How can studying be a game?
You don't need all that. The game is about how you set your own rules and rewards. Instead of saying, "I have to study for 30 minutes," why not turn it into a 5-minute speed challenge?
Oh, that sounds way easier than sitting there for 30 long minutes.
Exactly. Set a timer, and in those 5 minutes, focus on only one task, like finding 5 new words. Racing against time can release adrenaline and make you feel more excited instead of bored.
Oh, that's like those obstacle games, right? The faster you go, the more fun it feels.
Exactly. Or another way is this. Instead of reading quietly, record your voice and listen to it.
Listen to my own voice? Why would I do that, Gwen?
So you can act like a Hollywood actor. Try reading a dialogue with a dramatic voice and see what happens.
That's actually fun. If I hear myself like that, I'll probably laugh all day. And when I laugh, studying doesn't feel like an enemy anymore. It feels like a funny friend.
Exactly. And don't forget the golden rule in any game: rewards. You need small self-rewards right after you finish a task.
What kind of reward are we talking about? A trip around the world, maybe?
You're dreaming again. Keep it simple, like a piece of chocolate you love, or 10 minutes on social media without guilt.
So I use things I enjoy to make boring tasks easier?
Yup. You don't hate studying, you just hate the heavy feeling of studying.
That makes so much sense. If the journey is all pressure, you'll love your sofa more than your dreams, my friends.
Right. And there's one more rule that makes this even easier.
That sounds interesting. Tell me now. I really want to know.
It's called just start, don't promise to finish.
That sounds a bit irresponsible. If I don't promise to finish, when will I see results?
This is the key strategy to outsmart your lazy brain, Leo. Your biggest mistake is always making promises that are too big, like, I will study for 1 full hour. That 1 hour number scares your brain before you even pick up your pen.
I got it. For a lazy brain, 1 hour feels like 1,000 years.
True. So from now on, just promise yourself, I will start for 5 minutes.
And if after 5 minutes I feel bored and go to bed, is that a failure?
Not at all. You kept your promise. 5 minutes is done, so you succeeded.
So it's like pushing a car, huh?
What do you mean?
Well, for pushing a car, the hardest part is getting it moving at the start. But once the wheels start rolling, it becomes much easier to keep pushing.
Right? When it already has momentum, I just push a little and it keeps moving. The secret is to trick your brain with very small starts. Let momentum do its job, and you will be surprised how smoothly things move.
This is so good, Gwen. I'm going to try this 5-minute rule right away. It feels much more possible than my 1-hour plan.
I'm really glad you feel that way, Leo. But hey, there's something you should watch out for.
Huh, what is it?
Even if you build good momentum, there is still a monster waiting to pull the handbrake on your car.
That sounds scary, Gwen. Don't tell me it's about perfection again like we talked about before.
Exactly. It's the fear of doing things badly, the fear of being wrong. So the final strategy to really take action is this. Give yourself permission to do it badly on purpose.
Wait, what? People study to get better, not to practice being bad, right?
I know it sounds strange, but think about this. When you try to write an English paragraph, don't you write one word and then delete it because you think it's not good enough?
Oh yes, all the time. I check the dictionary again and again just to find the fanciest word. In the end, I spend 1 whole hour and write only 1.5 sentences.
That's exactly the problem. Try this. Write a paragraph in English and don't fix it.
Even when I clearly know my grammar is wrong?
Yes. Let it be wrong. Let it be messy. Even when you speak, just talk. Even if you mix up present and past tense.
It sounds kind of relaxing. But will I become worse if I do that, Gwen?
Well, at this stage, our goal is not to do it well. The goal is to practice courage. You are training yourself to face the feeling of not perfect without breaking down.
Oh, I see now. When I allow myself to create an imperfect version, the scary pressure starts to disappear.
Exactly. You can't fix something that doesn't exist. If you wait until it's perfect to start, you will have nothing to improve.
So friends, all this time, you've been at the starting line, trying to make your shoes perfect. Meanwhile, other people, even with old shoes, are already halfway through the race. This is the time to take action.
Yeah, the fastest person to improve is not the one who makes the fewest mistakes.
It's the one who dares to make mistakes earlier, right?
Perfect. When you dare to fail early, you learn early, and you reach the finish line earlier.
I totally agree.
And now it's time to stop dreaming and actually start.
That's right. Let's practice some vocabulary with us, friends.
Yes, and we'll take turns so it feels more natural.
The first word is compounding. It means growing little by little over time.
For example, reading 10 minutes a day creates a compounding effect.
That's why small actions can lead to big success later.
The next word is perfectionism. Perfectionism means wanting everything to be perfect.
For example, perfectionism stopped me from starting my project. Now we have discouraged. Discouraged means feeling less confident or less hopeful.
For example, I felt discouraged after I made many mistakes.
And mistakes are part of learning.
Let's learn this interesting word. Gamify. Gamify means turning something into a game.
For example, I gamify my study time by giving myself points. And the last word is outsmart. Outsmart means being smarter than someone or something.
For example, we can outsmart our lazy brain with small daily habits.
Yes, especially when we understand how our brain works.
Phew. Leo, how do you feel after this whole mindset reset journey?
Honestly, lighter. Like I finally took off the heavy armor of perfection.
I'm really glad we made it to the end of this conversation.
And thank you to all our PodChill listeners for staying with us.
Before we wrap up, remember to change the way you look at failure.
Not, I failed, I'm not good enough. But I learned something. Next time I'll do it better.
And in the long run, small actions win. 10 minutes every day is stronger than one perfect day a month.
Stay consistent. Stay kind to yourself. Now here's our small challenge.
Don't just listen and move on. Go to the comments and write, "Today I will start with." Fill in one small, real action.
Because the moment you write it down is the moment you move from imagination to action. We believe in you.
You're not lazy, you're just learning how to move forward. See you in the next episode. This is Gwen.
And I'm Leo. Bye, everyone.